Forever Amber. And I think it's a famous book, too. Yeah, and so it's lovely that you'd be the first person to ask a question. You know what? That's all I ever wanted to do with my songs. And I would tell my mom that, I just want to affect people. I just want to get, and I get little notes, and they're all in my journals, like a little note, just like what you just said, a little note written on paper that's just signed, Love Amber. And I never get to see Amber or talk with her in person, but I have that little note that says, there were times in my life where I just thought I wasn't going to make it. It was dark. It was a dark place. And
a picture and a thank you for that, and I always make a thank you for
I got it. I think I get the things that I'm supposed to get. Of course, I don't get everything, but I'll go into my room, and my assistant will have laid out like 5 or 6 things on my bed, and I'll sit there when I'm going to bed. I'll sit there on my bed, cross-legged, and I'll read these things, and then I'll stick them into my journal, so that my journals are like, they're big anyway, but then they're like full because I have lots of things that I want to live right where they were when I got them. I want them to be on September 19th, 2012. I want to have them there always. So I get the things that I'm supposed to get, and I talk to the people I'm supposed to talk to. That's how I look at it. It's all, it really is all chess players. We're the chess pieces, and somebody up there, the spirits, are moving us all around and moving us together. And I'm not going away. I'm going to continue to write these poems for you as long as I can.
Thank you, Amber. And this gentleman right here.
Dave, I became a fan of yours watching this movie. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Early in the movie, you mentioned, Stevie, you mentioned you wanted Dave to work on your next project or a Fleetwood Mac project. Could you be interested in working on a new Fleetwood Mac project?
Yeah.
Well, Fleetwood Mac is going out next year, but we're not really making a record because it would take us a year to make a record, and they have been I put them on hold I made this record, that was a year, then I toured last year, or off and on all last year, and did lots and lots of press, and then I decided to take this year also to tour all summer, because I did not feel that this record was finished, and so it did not make Fleetwood Mac happy, and but I said to them, I'm taking 2012 for In Your Dreams. I'm sorry, and if you can't understand that in your heart, how important this is to me, then I'm sorry, but I'm doing it, and I will see you in 2013. So that's what's happening. But we're just gonna do a big tour. If we did an album, it would take like we just did. It would take a year. Then by the time we got on the road, it'd be another year. It'd be 3 years. And I'm not willing at this point in my life. I'm not going to spend 3 years on a project at 64 years old. It's like I'm going to shorten the projects up a little bit. So that I can do more than 3, projects before I drop dead.
The woman right over there.
It's only a joke. I'm exercising with the microphone.
Yes.
The question I have is, what I noticed is that, you're 64, and your energy level seems to be huge. How does your age inform your art at this point in your life? This is Stevie and today as well.
Can we remember the beginning of her
I do.
question?
I remember. I'd like to say something, because I kind of somehow become somebody who collaborates a lot. And there's a great thing about collaboration is you learn to be very sort of calm, patient, and not really take yourself too seriously all the time. But on the other hand, you've got your eye on the sort of 60,000 foot sort of vision, right? So your son, if he wants to start getting into making films and playing piano and mixing the two things up, I think it's always great to don't lock genius out the room, you know what I mean? So if somebody's over there and they're saying, but what about this? It's really good to listen to what they're saying and listen to what they're saying, and in the end make everybody feel comfortable to say stuff and feel like they can do anything. I think my trick, because it's not really a trick, kind of is, but it's like I allow people to just feel as if they can do anything. That's the thing. So whoever I'm in a room with, whether it's a young singer like Joss Stone or whoever it is, they suddenly realize, oh, fuck, I can do anything I want. And I'm going, yeah, you can do anything you want. And they go, shit, really? Yeah. And they start doing handstands and jumping around and screaming and wailing and all that stuff, because otherwise what happens is people get smaller and smaller and more tense and freaked out. And you can hear it on the recording. So my thing is to always try and get some kind of sparkle, joy on the recording. Fortunately, I think that came across in the film. Now, the funny thing about the film is it's got a lot of that joking and fun, but then you see how serious it goes when Stevie's talking about New Orleans. And that song, when you hear it on the record now, it will never sound the same now that you've seen the movie. And it's such a serious, piece of music and lyric, and so much care and attention went into it, and re-recording and getting it right. And
over and over,
over and over and over again, till it was captured everything that she said. At the end you want to feel as if you're uplifting people, but in the middle you want to take them to the dark places. And you have to do that as a team, and you saw the teamwork going on. And okay, that's no good. Okay, if somebody has such a strong ego that you can't talk to them, that becomes impossible, because they're only fighting for what they think is their piece, and you've got to keep looking at the overall piece all the time. So whatever the question was, somewhere in there's an answer.
But what he did with me, and this is what when we wrote up our little thing that we had to write up for the, he created a magical sandbox in my house, which is a very Alice in Wonderland house, you saw it, and allowed me and my girls, Sharon and Lori, allowed us to play, and allowed us to not feel stupid about anything, or to not, when he would go home, the girls and I would stay up for hours and work on our harmonies and our parts, so that when he'd come back the next day, because as funny as it all seems and everything, he did have his eye on the ball the whole time, and he was absolutely in control of the whole thing, but very hard for us to really see that, so that we never felt like we were being, it's like you just said, which I think is so brilliant. You said, don't lock genius out of the room. Mm-hmm. So true.
Well,
you
people
really
do
have
it.
to let people go, and my parents totally supported me. They totally believed in me. I played them my first song when I was 16, and they were like, that's a really good song, honey. And you can do, if you want to be a singer, then right on, you can do it. You're going to have to go to school, and we'll support you. But we totally believe that you're going to be famous, because I totally believed at 16 that I was going to be famous. And they went right with me on it. So I think as a parent, if you have talented children, or even if you have children that are just sweet and precious, and you're going like, but they can't really sing, because we all know those kids that are great but can't carry a tune. You just have to be just loving with them, and just push them in the right direction, and let them figure it out for themselves without saying, you really can't sing.
Yeah, it's funny when
Maybe you could dance or act. There's always something in the creative world that you can do.
It's funny when Stevie said she knew at 16 she was going to be famous, because a lot of people that I've worked with, have talked to me, and they've said the same thing. At a certain age, I won't mention their names, but there's a plethora of, people you would know, knew immediately inside something. And I remember one time, I felt the same, even though I never was really, until the last few years, a front person. So I always felt I was the person that was, assisting.
Setting up the background.
Setting up and...
Which is extremely important, because without setting up the background, there is no ground.
Oh, well, with Annie and I, it's a whole other story, and I won't go there. So, but there was a lot of, there's a lot of work, basically, for both sides of the duo. But I remember one time, there was this Jehovah's Witness knocked on my door, and nobody was there, and I was very young, and so I invited him in, and I said to him, do you know, I'm David Bowie. And, I probably had my face painted with a zigzag at the time, like back then. Well, I still do, actually.
I'm Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah, and he didn't really know what I was talking about, and I sang him Life on Mars. I played the guitar and sang,
Did he run away?
It's a god-awful small affair, And, no, he was just looking at me really peculiar, like, I think I've walked in the wrong house. And he was trying to get out. But, you have that funny feeling that, you're like an alien, and then you suddenly meet another alien, like when Stevie and I met when I was about 28 or something, the end picture. And, it was another alien, you know what I mean? How you doing?
It's true. It really is true, though.
It's like,
true.
You met somebody
It's
from
like
your
Aliens
tribe.
Unite.
Yeah, which is the name of
All
our
right,
new
listen, we have
football
to take
team.
another. You're getting worse than me. We have to take another question.
For the gentleman in the corner.
Back-
Sorry.
Dave, Stevie, so many of us have been listening to your performances and your music for so long. The picture, however, gives us a deeply intimate portrait of what comes behind that. And our thanks are extended to you for sharing that part of the process with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Our pleasure.
The question is one that is deeply personal. And
Good.
It is, it is from from an addiction standpoint. I'm curious from a creative perspective, when you have been in that place and have ventured back to a very different world, did you find that you had to reconnect with your creative self, and how about you did that? I'd like to hear. Thank you.
You know what? Now that I walk on stage, whether it's with Fleetwood Mac or whether it's by myself, to do a 2.5-hour show, and I'm twirling around, and I'm thinking to myself, I am sober as a judge up here, and I'm having a great time. Every single night when I go on stage, I think that. I think, wow, I wish I had realized that, back in the day, because I can dance across the stages of the world, totally not on drugs, and really be having a good time.
Blue Lamp is my all-time favorite song of yours.
That's one of my favorites too.
And I love the story of your mother giving you this very magical blue lamp, and then not letting you take it on the plane with you, and you screaming and crying, and finally they let you do it. And it's not too personal. I know that you lost your mom recently, and I'm wondering, can you say anything to us as an individual, as an artist, about grief and loss, and how one travels through that, how one lives in it?
We should repeat the question. Do you want me to
No,
do
I
it?
got it.
Okay.
Well, it's like, this is my great-great-grandmother's ring. This ring says 1901.